go through your average working day, what you are doing is you are making intuitive decisions again and again and again. And I'm clapping here because you're literally doing this all day long. Yeah? The more decisions like that you're making in your daily life, the more you are likely to suffer from what's now become known as decision fatigue. You rely, in other words, more and more on your intuitive response to the situation rather than your analytic response. And the key to understanding supervision, and I don't think it actually matters whether you're talking about safeguarding, although I would say it's particularly important for safeguarding, is that people in our roles must, absolutely must, have an opportunity to take a step back from what they're doing to create enough space for them to move from their intuitive response to their analytic system. Does that make sense? It's extremely important. Most of the time, our intuition serves us very well, particularly if you're experienced. Your heuristic stuff becomes honed, if you like. Yeah? But actually, I think for all of us, moving from intuition to analysis is extremely important. And the other bit I would just want to say is it's also, in the end, what makes us accountable. I think academics call intuition closed knowledge. Another way of understanding supervision is that it helps move your intuition, what's going on inside you, into analysis, which is then open knowledge. You can be examined by everyone else. And actually, my background is social work. I'm a social worker. If I'm standing in a witness box and a barrister says, Mr. Frankel, how did you arrive at that decision? And I say, well, I did it intuitively. I think I would be laughed out of court. So actually, part of the process of supervision, moving from your intuitive system to your analytic system, actually helps you understand and defend why you have arrived at a particular decision regarding whatever it is. Okay? Now, the other thing I just wanted to talk about, you won't be able to see this very clearly, I'm sure, and actually I'll put it up on the screen in a slightly different way later. So I just got some feedback from there, so I'll come this slide. This is called, or comes from something called the Parenting Styles Matrix. Very briefly, way back now in the 1970s, a woman called Gillian Boundland, who is a psychologist and a criminologist, was interested in the relationship between what she called parental competence and the likelihood of children getting involved in offending behaviour. So this was around the sociology and the psychology of youth offending. And her work was taken up later on by someone called Simon Hackett and various others in a book called Assessment in Childcare, first published in 2003. Very recently, can I just say, republished in the second edition. So if you get this book, get the second edition. Hackett's interest was in what he regarded as the absolutely core components of good parenting. And after much ado in this book, he comes up with essentially two dimensions. One he called demandingness. That is, the capacity or the ability of a parent to be calm, well internally regulated, mature, in control, and make appropriate pro-social demands on children. So this is what you might call always getting something back from your child at an appropriate age, developmentally appropriate, way. In the literature, you sometimes come across this as the transactional model of parenting. I don't know, in an adolescent, it might be, you want pocket money, I need you to do the washing up. get something back. You want a late night, I need you to do your homework. You can translate it. Think about this. You can only make appropriate demands on children if you know them very well. Yeah? Because if you don't know them, you don't know whether you're making the appropriate demand. So if you make a demand on a child, you actually have to know that child, because you have to be able to anticipate and be able to respond to any need that your demand makes. Okay? Which is why he called the second dimension responsiveness. So responsiveness really refers to the ability of a parent to anticipate and respond to needs arising out of any demands that they make. Okay? And the genius of this is that he then turned it into a matrix. So you have, and you won't be able to see this very clearly, but you have parents who make appropriate pro-social demands of children that are highly responsive to their needs. What do you think he called those parents? And I mean, apart from being the good guys, what do you think?
No. Authoritative.
Who said that? Well done. He called them authoritative, and that's a really important term for us. Yeah, you read it everywhere. So, you know, in child protection, you get authoritative this and authoritative that and authoritative the other. What about parents, though, who are demanding of their children, but remain unobservant of or unresponsive to need? Authoritarian, a misuse of power and authority. Parents who are unresponsive and undemanding. They're not necessarily fair, they are neglectful. Okay? And parents who are responsive to need but actually don't make any demands on children, are called permissive. Okay, which is the laissez-faire bit. Okay. Now I think this is very, by the way, this is an extraordinarily powerful little analytic tool anyway. If you want to work out the predominant style of parenting that you might be seeing in the course of your everyday work, just do something like this and just map out what the behaviours are. But I want to, in particular, think about the terms here. Authoritative, authoritarian, neglectful and permissive. I want you now to think about this, instead of a parenting styles matrix, think about it as a practitioner service user styles matrix. Okay? So you have practitioners who are really good at making demands on their, I will call them service users, you use your own term. Okay? They're really, whatever they do, they're getting something back. Yeah? But they're good at making these demands because they've done an excellent assessment which allows them to anticipate and respond to need. So practitioners who make appropriate demands and respond based on their assessment are the authoritative practitioners. And that word's really important because in safeguarding par excellence, authority and the use of it actually is the core business. Authoritative practitioners are those who are comfortable with the authority that they carry and they know how to use it. But we all know, and I'm sure, we won't point any fingers, but I certainly know, you will all know of practitioners. I call them the wagging finger practitioners. What they do is, if you don't mind me saying so, they go up to their service users, their clients or whatever you want to call them, and they say things like, you must take more vitamin D. Yeah, that kind of stuff. Yeah. But actually, you know, they fail on the whole to notice and respond to need. That is actually a misuse of authority. Yeah? The worst place for any practitioner in any organisation to be is here in the neglectful zone. In the neglectful zone, you are unresponsive and undemanding. Children are in danger, their parents are in danger, the practitioner is at risk, their supervisor or manager is in danger. The organisation has not got a leg to stand on. And I suspect that many practitioners, particularly out in, as it were, the field, as opposed to, let's say, clinic-based work, so community-based stuff, actually fall, surprisingly, into the permissive zone. That is, they're highly responsive to need, but they're not getting anything back. Yeah? It was mentioned that I do quite a lot of work in relation to highly resistant families and that kind of thing. And I find it really useful to think about that in relation to this. My interest is not why these people are resistant, it's actually why practitioners somehow fail to engage them. Okay? I think frankly, I think the onus is on the practitioner rather than blaming families for quite legitimately resisting real intrusion into their personal lives. I wouldn't want it. It's a normal response. Okay? But I suspect that with high resistance and actually some intimidation, particularly in the safeguarding and child protection arena, what you get are practitioners who have become quite neglectful because they're avoidant. Who needs the mouthful every time you knock on the door? Who needs the abuse every time you pick up the phone? Yeah? So actually be avoided. Or they become too nervous, too scared to actually start asking questions and making demands. Yeah? So they drift, as it were, into these two quadrants. And then a manager, fairly authoritarian manager, will come along and say, you have to do something about the situation before it drifts too far. And of course, if the practitioner is not already in the authoritative zone, they then have to flip from these two straight into being authoritarian. Yeah? Misusing, overusing their power. Now, the other thing I want to ask you, how many of you are supervised in this room? How many of you see regular one-to-one supervision, yeah? Quite a few people. Okay, for those people, just ask yourself this question. Is my supervisor appropriately demanding of me? When I go to supervision, do I come out feeling really stretched and really challenged? Have I been really made to think about what I'm doing here, what I'm doing at work, how I'm doing whatever it is, and why I'm doing it like that? The other thing is how well does my supervisor actually know me as a person in my own right, and as a person at work, which then allows them to stretch and challenge me. In other words, you come out of supervision feeling well stretched and challenged, and really being made to think about what you do, to reflect on how you're doing. You'll be coming out, I call it feeling really pleasantly tired instead of bloody exhausted. Yeah? Then that supervisor is in the authoritative zone. They're the kind of supervisor that quite simply tells you what you need to do. Yeah? That is, makes a whole load of demands, but actually remains very unresponsive to who you are, what you are, why you are. Then they're not in that authoritative zone. Now, it seems to me, from this, we can begin to think about what the overall purpose of supervision is. Okay? I would subscribe the overall purpose of supervision as being a tool, a way of producing practitioners who know how to use authority and are comfortable with it.